Dun, dun, dun. Are we ready to roll the cameras?
Hey.
Oh, that's all, folks. Time to go home. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first RSC Belgium talk of 2026. Our speaker this evening is Magali Klepper, an olfactive designer and perfumer. What do you say? How are you? Perfumier?
Perfumer.
Perfumer. And we'll talk to us, help us explore the sensory world of perfumes, fragrances, and explain some of the science behind scents. Magali grew up in the Ardennes, was immersed in the scents and aromas of nature, and from an early age she cultivated things like a herb garden and collected perfume samples. Her career in the healthcare and pharmaceutical industries included time in the European Organisation for Research and Treatment of Cancer in Brussels and GSK Biologicals in Wavre. And these took her on journeys around the world where she expanded her olfactory experiences. 8 years ago, she decided to devote herself to her childhood passion and reinvent herself in the world of scents and fragrances. And she went to study for perfumery in Paris. And very quickly, the desire to share her passion led to her develop her own fragrance-based business. So welcome, Magali. We look forward to your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Hello, everybody. Thank you. I would like to thank the Royal Society of Chemistry for having me here tonight. Fabio and Tim and Bob for this evening, and an opportunity for me to share my passion, a childhood passion, as Tim mentioned, for not only fragrances but the sense of smell, neuroscience, how our noses actually connect to many activities in life. So I'll be sharing about a bit about science and art also behind fragrance making. Maybe about myself, although I believe Tim, I'm sorry about this. This is a bit about my daily environment. I set up a small perfumery lab in Wavre 8 years ago now, where I create scents. I help businesses to work around the smell marketing. I like to share with individuals, children, patients sometimes, because smell is not just about perfumes. We can do many things. So we talk about crossroads of science and art. Perfumery is actually a very old ritual art. I'm sure everybody knows about perfumum, from the Latin perfume, where in ancient times people were actually burning herbs, gums, resins to communicate with the gods, right? Now, more recently, obviously, fragrances are considered really a mass consumer product. If you think about it, you're surrounded by different smells, perfumes in your day-to-day activities. We have many applications in this industry. Fine fragrance, so this is what you put on your skin. Personal care, your shampoo, your soaps, home care, and functional care. So your detergents, all the products that you use at home, or even in the places where you shop, are actually scented, and sometimes we don't even notice, but it's everywhere. It's a huge commercial market. Only for fine fragrance, this market was estimated for 2025 over $50 billion US. And there's actually also a rising market for what we call dupe fragrances, so duplicate fragrances, legally produced alternatives that replicate the scent profile of high-end luxury perfumes, at significantly lower prices. It's a huge rising market, $3 billion for 2025, so it's really rising. And I would like to quote Ernest Beau, who was a famous perfumer and chemist, actually. Back in the early 1890s, he said, one has to rely on chemists to find new aroma chemicals, creating new original notes. In perfumery, the future lies primarily in the hands of chemists. So Ernest Beau was the perfumer of Chanel No. 5, that you may have heard of or that you may actually wear, some of you. And for him, I mean, there was no way that perfumery wouldn't be developing further without contribution of chemistry. And we'll dig a little bit more into this, and that's the scientific part of perfumery, obviously. Before the 19th century, we were really relying on natural extracts to create perfumes, mainly essential oils, what we call enfleurage, so actually extracting the scent of plant materials with fat or fatty materials. And fragrances were mainly interpretations of nature, of flowers, very realistic. There was no abstraction at all. Those products were quite expensive at the time, not for everybody to wear. And it's only really since the 1850s, with progress in organic chemistry and understanding of how natural extracts work, what are the aroma compounds that you can find in there with technologies like GCMS, headspace technology, that we could really progress in perfume making. In parallel to this, of course, we understand much better the smelling process, olfaction, thanks to neurophysiology, molecular biology, psychology, and also linguistics, because it's not always easy to put words on what we actually smell, and you will be experimenting this in a few minutes. Organic synthesis also helped us to synthesize in the lab molecules that were naturally occurring in plants or even animals. It enabled the discovery of odorants that were not existing in nature. It helped us replace toxic, allergenic, expensive or non-biodegradable molecules, and reducing the use or relying too much on naturally occurring odorants. And some of those molecules, you'll experiment in a few minutes, helped us actually to bring abstraction in perfumes at a reasonably lower cost. Although, I don't know, an essential oil of a bitter orange, for example, is maybe nowadays 100 euros a kilo. They are synthetic molecules which are quite expensive too, and we can go up to 2,000 euro a kilo also. So synthesis is not always synonym to cheaper cost. Many of those molecules that were discovered or synthesized in the 19th century are still in use and a lot in fragrances today. I'm thinking about phenyl alcohol, which has a rosy smell, benzyl acetate, that has a jasmine-like facet as well, vanillin, coumarin, which help us bringing tonka bean facets to fragrances. So quite a lot of contribution. And I'm only showing a few here, but those ones, they're probably present in 90% of the commercially available fragrances today. Would you like to test your noses and smell some of those perfumery ingredients that are really important in perfume making? Everybody. So I'll be presenting you with two different perfumery ingredients. One is A and one is B. And my question to you will be, can you differentiate which one is natural, which one is synthetic? Okay. Any sensitive noses in the room? People who are allergic or have migraine smelling materials? So you might want to exercise then caution, not inhaling too deeply. And in any case, it's very important in those olfaction sessions to keep the blotter at a certain distance of your nose. Please avoid touching your nose skin with the blotter, otherwise after a few ingredients, it's all mixed up at your nose. And we start with this one. So may I can maybe and a second one. Thank you so much. Thanks for your help. And that's another set, number B.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I will give out. You have B already. We have B.
Has everybody received A and B?
I think so too.
Has everybody received two?
This is
Take the B. I've got lots of A's.
You can give me the...
Okay, wait.
Tim, where have you been?
This one will make you smell like cardboard. So you're quite safe. You're quite safe. Yeah. This is under a bridge.
So have you had the chance to smell A and B?
Yes.
In your view or in your smelling, which one would be a natural ingredient and which one would be a synthetic ingredient? Natural?
B.
B.
Wait a minute. Which are you got your hand up for?
Natural.
What, A or B?
Oh, she's
I'm
what
asking you
think
to
is
raise your
natural.
hand, sorry, if you think that A is a natural.
I think that is because it's not durable.
Who thinks A is a synthetic? Anybody having no clue? I mean,
Yes, in principle, yes.
50-50.
okay.
We all know.
All of us, isn't it?
So, A is the natural. Anybody recognize this smell? How
Cardboard.
cardboard?
For me, it's cardboard.
Uh-huh. There's no right or wrong. I mean, I'm just. How would you describe the number A? Citrus? It's difficult to put words on smells, right? So how would we traditionally describe this one? It would be woody, milky, a bit creamy, aroma. This blotter, if you keep it in a week, it will still be there. It's a very long-lasting scent, very complex, even if from the smelling of it, it's not necessarily obvious. We are here talking about this wood or this tree. Any idea? Second clue.
Cherry?
Cinnamon.
Sorry?
Cinnamon.
It's not cinnamon.
Sandalwood.
Sandalwood, yes, yes. The holy wood, one of the holy woods, East Indian sandalwood species, used in perfumes, aromatherapy, cosmetics, medicine, some also traditional and religious activities in India. Steam distilled, so you're smelling essential oil here. And it takes actually 30 years for the tree to produce essential oil in the middle of, at the center of the heartwood. Remarkable fixative properties. Distillation of the wood chips actually takes between 48 and 72 hours, so it's quite a long process. Very expensive material, more than 3,000 euros a kilo, very rare. It's actually an endangered species because we've been exploiting those trees for very long without thinking about actually replanting as we were cutting trees. But nevertheless, now there are additional plantations, notably in Australia, to try and compensate for the impact on the natural resources. Obviously, chemistry has helped us also to understand what's in the oil, and the majority of really the compounds that are really behind the scent consist of over 90% of sesquiterpenes alcohols, which are alpha santalol and beta santalol. 90% of the oil, and responsible for this rich, woody, milky aroma. It was alpha santalol was only discovered in 1910, and it took another 25 years to elucidate the beta santalol part of the oil. Now the second material, oh sorry, and I forgot to mention, probably many of you are familiar with this scent from Guerlain, which was launched back in 1989, said to contain an impressive amount of 25% sandalwood oil. Probably nowadays it has been reformulated because this is a huge amount of natural in a commercial perfume, but this was a big success by Jean-Paul Guerlain for his muse Dicia de Pau. 4 years of work to create this perfume. Now the other material, B, is actually a synthetic. I'm just showing here the structure, and we call it commercial name Bacdanol, which is also one of the many sandalwood notes that we have available in perfumery to give the illusion of a sandalwood note in perfumes. About €50 a kilo. So it gives you a sense of the difference in price, heavily used in many commercial fragrances also. Okay. So, what's a fragrance? It's actually combination, well-balanced and structured creation, whereby you have an idea that you try to translate into a scent. This idea can be inspiration, it can be your client brief. We call it a brief in the industry, so a description of what the fragrance is supposed to smell. And then you'll start, and I like to do the parallel with cooking or creative cooking. You actually combine a series of ingredients, which can be natural, which can be synthetic, to form what we call a perfume concentrate or perfume oil. And like a recipe, you will have different proportions, and you will try to obtain something which is aesthetically pleasing. And for this, some perfumers may use just traces, so really micro amounts of material, or overdoses. We use the term overdose in perfumery. When Olivier Crespe, for example, created Angel by Mugler back in the 90s. This was basically an overdose of patchouli combined with ethyl maltol, or the main notes in the perfume. You can have something homogeneous, you can work on contrast. It's a little bit like in painting, in music. You may use different techniques to create your perfume. Of course, you'll have a recipe. You will really document everything on a sheet of paper or in an Excel sheet or in a specific program. And we call this a formula. I'm going to show you one in a second. And what's interesting in perfumery, when you mix ingredients, you're not obtaining the sum of the individual ingredients. A plus B will not give you AB, and you will experimenting it in a few minutes as well. It's a little bit like in painting. If you mix blue and yellow, you obtain something else, which is green. Many trials and errors. It can be that you do 50 trials, 100, 200, 500 trials, whether you have consumer tests in the process or not. But it's an iterative process, really, which can take quite some time. Once you're satisfied, of course, your concentrate will be mixed with denatured ethanol and water, plus coloring agents, preservatives, fixatives, etc. And then time also comes in the process. You're gonna let it macerate. So that the molecules can settle, the structure stabilize, and the sharp edges can be a little bit refined. So I'm going to show you an example of a formula, a very pretty short formula by Céline Elena. A few natural, you have basil, you have bergamot, patchouli, which are essential oils, and all the rest are basically synthetics. So you document your ingredients, the quantities. We usually work on 1,000, and if you cannot reach 1,000, then you add solvent, in this case dipropylene glycol, but that's as simple as that, so to speak. And this is the formula for a fragrance house called Jus, publicly available on the internet, so there's no issue here about confidentiality. The perfume house has deliberately decided to share the formula of the perfume, and this one is called Spring Pop. So how is the fragrance structured? We usually speak about the perfume pyramid, and it's actually explaining a little bit how a fragrance will evolve over time. What you usually, your initial impression, the immediate impact when you test a fragrance is generated by what we call head notes or top notes, which do not last very long, a few minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And this is often the purchasing act. And maybe you've made the experience of testing something at the shop, you like it, then you wear it 2-3 days, and eventually it's not your liking. Well, it's just because you've decided on those head notes. What will come next and will last a little bit longer and really constitute or give it the fragrance its distinct character are the hard notes, and those ones last longer. I think some of them actually last longer than 60 minutes. And what stays on your skin at the end of the day when you spray it in the morning are base notes, really heavy materials, long-lasting, what will persist really over time. So that's a little bit of a theoretical representation. It's not. This can be adapted, obviously, and another way to show it differently in terms of the materials that I used. Traditionally, top notes will include citrus material, be they natural or synthetics. Herbs, aromatic, everything that grows on your balcony can actually be distilled and used in perfumery. Followed in terms of hard notes by floral material, a very big family in fragrances. Green notes, which will make you think about grass, leaves, etc. Fruity notes, mostly synthetics, because we cannot really extract fruits by distillation. Spices, and the base notes include woody material, balsamic material, and there's one missing here, which are the musk material. Okay. So represented differently, how fragrance will evolve over time, especially on your skin, is that the top note, head notes, are very volatile. They will come to your nose immediately, but they will not last long. Typical example, cologne. So eau de cologne, not the US cologne word, really eau de cologne, a fresh citrusy perfume which will be refreshing, that you'll be splashing several times during the day when it's hot, but they do not stay on your skin, right? And that's okay, there's no issue with that. But if you use then other material, hard notes, base notes, etc., you'll be able to make your fragrance last longer and have a little bit more volume and persistence also. And the perfumer will balance head notes, hard notes, base notes to make sure that the fragrance can develop over time. So, back to a few blind tests. I now would like to you to smell key synthetic ingredients. So now you don't have to guess whether it's natural or synthetic. I will distribute again a few blotters. Thank you so much for your help. So, synthetic molecule, what does it smell like? Excuse me? Acetone?
Okay, let me just put those back.
Acetone? Varnish remover? Okay, anybody else?
Paint solvent.
Excuse me?
So painting.
Painting?
The solvent for painting.
Solvents? I'm sorry. Turpentine? Okay.
No, no, see the end.
Solvent. Maybe still depends. It's all diluted in alcohol, so that's maybe what you smell, although it shouldn't be. Any other idea or guesses? Isopropanol? Mm-hmm. I've been hearing citrusy. There's a citrus facet to it. Yeah. Well, it's no citrus in it, but it has a citrusy facet, as we say. Yeah. It's quite subtle, no? It's not very, very powerful. If I say floral, no, not really. Okay. Transparent. It's a funny word to describe a scent, isn't it? There's some citrusy freshness. To me, well, it reminds me of honeysuckle flowers, jasmine.
Oh, it's not sweet enough for me.
It's not sweet enough. Yeah, that's a single molecule, so it may appear a little bit rough to smell like this, but I can guarantee you it's in probably 90% of the fragrances you wear and you buy. So what is it? So we try to give also a visual representation of smell. This is a tricky thing. This is the structure. This is a synthetic molecule, but naturally present in jasmine absolute and also green tea. Was discovered by scientists at Firmenich, which is a big fragrance house, back in 1958 as part of the methyl jasmonate synthesis. So we call this methyl dihydrojasmonate, trade name Hedion, much easier to pronounce, at least for the French speakers. A technical molecule. It doesn't smell so special, actually, but it's a technical material that we use to bring radiance, to bring transparency and volume in fragrance creation. This was used for the first time back in 1966 in Dior Eau Sauvage. Probably you're familiar with this masterpiece by Edmond Rodniska. Still present today, I think. So there are different isomers of methyl jasmonate. We also have a high cis Hedion or methyl dihydrojasmonate that we can use, and much more powerful also, but much more expensive too. Another one.
Because it was a jasmine. So is that a heart?
Yes, that would be a heart note, absolutely. Everybody has received the material? So what would be the sensation here? Any idea, suggestion? More floral?
It's quite
Sweeter?
kind of bright.
Brighter?
Yeah.
It's quite subtle still, huh?
Yeah.
But bright is definitely one of the reasons we're using this material. Woody? Okay. Slightly cedarwood. I don't know if any of you can relate to this. Ambery, velvety. It's not very prominent, but again, this is another molecule that has the capacity to bring other notes forward to make fragrances almost vibrate. This was discovered at IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances, back in 1975. This is the structure. And again, it's very easy to say ISO E super, trade name. This is in use, also heavily used in the fragrance industry, almost to become a diluent. And I can give you some examples of fragrances that Fahrenheit back in 1988, 25% of ISO E super. Declaration by Cartier, 35% of ISO E super. Terre d'Hermès, 2006, 50% of this material. And eccentric molecule number 1, 100% of the material. This was a bit of a scandal when they launched this fragrance, certainly in the French industry, because how could someone dare launching a fragrance with just one material? I can tell you it's selling really well. People actually use it also for layering. I don't know if you're familiar with layering. That is actually using several fragrances or mixing them on your skin. Especially the younger generations do this. And oops, sorry. Eccentric molecule is also used at least for this. Some people even have said this is the new pheromone and so on. There's a lot going on about this fragrance. Nothing scientifically confirmed, obviously, but nevertheless, a very popular fragrance. And ISO E Super is in all fragrances nowadays. Okay. Very good question. The question here is based on face nose. Vion was middle nose. ISO E Super is more the last one is okay. Impressions. Fruity. Soapy.
Well, yes.
Any other reaction? Animalic? Soft? Clean? Duck down? No?
We didn't hear you.
Duck down? Baby skin? No. Clean laundry? Detergents? This is a visual representation, I mean, completely fantasy. Here's the structure. And you are actually smelling a musk, a synthetic musk, white, we call them white musk. Very long name again, but we call it in the labs galaxolide. Discovered back in '62 at IFF again. This is really a heavy molecule which will give hold and trail to a perfume, used heavily in perfumes, fabric softeners. Now, like some other polycyclic musks, galaxolide is bioaccumulative, non-biodegradable, and can cause pollution problems. So some companies have decided not to use it anymore, but it's quite a popular ingredient. And why we call it musk, and probably you know this, musk initially come from from an animal which we call the Tonkin deer musk. The poor beast has almost disappeared from the planet. Is now is an endangered species and protected. But nevertheless, it has been used for centuries in perfumery. It's still used nowadays in traditional medicine, hunted, but chemistry was able to actually identify and isolate what were those interesting molecules in the musk, the deer musk pod, because it's a pod that the male has on its abdomen, which contains those very powerful smelling ingredients. For example, muscone was isolated from the natural musk, and nowadays it's banned. Obviously, we cannot use natural musk in perfumery, but nevertheless, culturally, when we speak about musk, it's coming from an animal historically, right? Used in many fragrances. Some of them you might know, or you have seen on advertising. The Body Shop White Musk, which was launched back in the 80s, was containing 7% of galaxolide, so what you've just smelled. But then we go, the Kiehl's original musking would contain, or was containing back when it was launched in the 60s, 92% of galaxolide. Interesting. And more recently, Narciso Rodriguez, for her, this was launched in 2003, would contain 66% of galaxolide, just to give you a sense of the use of this material. Last one.
How much does this one cost?
Galaxolide is very cheap. I think it's something along the lines of €50 a kilo, very cheap. And that's why it's used in laundry products also, obviously. Oh, shit. Okay. Thank you. Oh, you sleep? Did you receive F? Has everybody received F? Oh, sorry.
That is very active.
So what about this one? F. Sorry? Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Violet.
Yeah.
Violet. It's very floral, sweet.
Yeah, a bit of lavender notes to it.
Powdery. It has a bit of a tobacco facet too. Orris root, for those who've ever used orris root in potpourris, or but it's a bit woody as well. Yeah. So this is called methylionone gamma, which is alpha isomethylionone, used as a violet material. I took this picture yesterday in my garden. It's already blooming. If you want to smell the real violets, they're blooming now, actually. So ionones are important materials also discovered thanks to chemistry, because violet is what we call a mute flower. It means you cannot extract, you cannot distill the flowers. We extract the leaves through solvent extractions, but the flowers, you cannot really use them. So the only way to reproduce the smell of a violet flower is by using synthetic ingredients and ionones in this case. Recent headspace analysis show you if we take violet in bloom, you get quite an important amount of ionones, 35% of alpha ionone, 21% of beta ionone, and 18% of dihydro beta ionone. So this is quite, these are quite important discoveries for chemistry to be able to, how can I say, either reproduce natural smells or naturally occurring smells, or even go into fantasy creations as well. So perfumery is art, as I said, because a perfumer will translate ideas, emotions, souvenirs into scents, which in turn can generate experiences, emotions, sensations. And when you combine ingredients, natural and synthetics, or even synthetics alone, the sky is the limit in terms of what you can generate. And a little bit like in music, we like to speak about notes, chords or chords, and symphony. Note is when you combine a few ingredients until you achieve something harmonious. For example, if you take geraniol, citronellol, and maybe damascones and phenylethyl alcohol, you can give the illusion of a rose, right? If you have the good proportions. An accord, and we will smell one in a minute, it's more maybe expressing an idea. And when you use notes and accords as building blocks for your pyramid, then you create something which is supposed to be a magical scented music, right? And obviously the skills of a perfumer is to be able to arrange all those notes and accords to create something nice, like a painter would apply brush strokes on a painting, or even a musician would assemble also chords to create a piece of music. Now, if we would be combining the last 4 aroma chemicals that you've received, that is Edion, galaxolide, isohe super, and methylionone gamma, what do you think we could achieve?
Big heavy
Aftershave?
migraine.
Migraine?
Last 4, yes? So C, D, E, F.
So we almost...
Oh no, I don't think we need
The 40 ml bottle that I can sell for €200.
Oh,
Good story, that's
oh, that's very good.
what are you trying to do?
Yeah?
Deeper, deeper, deeper.
That's the mixture.
Doesn't make.
The mixture.
Sorry, I'll come round and help.
Right, thank you so much. Great pleasure.
The mixture is coming.
We already have one.
You have one?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Ready to have
You
the
have
head
one,
blown
yeah?
up.
Yeah.
That's the mixture.
You got one? You're up.
I know, it's terrible. Forever. No.
20 years on the council.
You get it.
Very good, very good.
Can you recognize the four materials in there? Edion, Galaxolite, Iso-E Super.
Yeah, that's what I got when I put them in together.
Last one, the methylionone.
Yeah, it's got a lot of that. Yeah, it feels that way.
This is good.
So what you're smelling here is what we call Hug Me Accord, created by a chemist and perfumer who's called Sophia Groschmans, working at IFF as well, where she mixed roughly equal parts of the four materials that you smelled before, which is supposed to bring a radiant, intimate, soft, warm, reassuring presence. Hence the name Hug Me. And this is really famous in the fragrance industry, and is a versatile accord that has inspired many other perfumers afterwards and still today. And you can combine it with many other materials. Very famous. I mean, when you study perfumery, you will obviously, like in painting, recreate master pieces, etc. So this is one of them. And it is said that 80% of this Hug Me accord was used in the following commercial fragrance, and this is the last strips of this presentation. Thank you so much. This is, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I
This is a full fragrance. Can you smell the difference with the individual materials and the accord? Has anybody recognized this? Treasure? No. Treasure? Poem? Why Lancôme? It's actually Lancôme and it's Trésor indeed. Yes, that's right. Okay. Initially launched in 1990 by Sophia Groschmans, blockbuster. So you're not smelling the original, you're smelling a more recent version, because we reformulate a lot in perfumery, because materials get disappear, get banned, or become allergenic, etc. So we are supposed to reformulate. So this is semi-oriental fragrance, where you have rose. Can you smell rose in here? And even more, a cosmetic rose. And how do you create a cosmetic rose in perfumery? You combine violet materials with rosy materials, and this gives you a little bit of the illusion of a raspberry, rosy material. The one that we used to scent lipsticks or makeup material. I see some people nodding, obviously probably not everybody. But what she did here, she's been combining this Hug Me Accord with rosy materials, with Lily of the Valley material, hydroxycitronellyl, for those who know it. Back in the 90s, we had materials like Liral and Lilial, but they have now been banned or are restricted in use. Sandalwood, remember the sandalwood we smelled in the beginning, natural and synthetic, back then as well. Musks, galaxolite and other musks. Amber, so Cistus labdanum, for those who know this material, vanillin, ethyl vanillin, cinnamic alcohol, coumarin, and a styrax accord. And I also smell, but it's more on the dry down on the skin, a leather note, which is coming from isobutylquinoline. I don't know if you're familiar with this leathery material also. Modified by a fruity facet. I don't know if you can smell the fruity facet. It's peach. Peach. Gamma and decalactone. And it's she had a big impact on perfumery. She's also she has there built a kind of an archetype for future fragrances to come. And she's also been credited, Sophia Groschmann, for pioneering a different marketing-oriented structure whereby from the very beginning you smell the heart and the base notes. So you don't have this experience that you choose on the citrusy top notes. No, you directly get into the fragrance, and you don't have this disappointment of buying basically a fragrance that at the end of the day you don't really appreciate. Now here you get into the fragrance immediately. So perfumery, it's definitely chemistry, science, craftsmanship, creativity, art, but it's also toxicology regulations in Europe. Obviously we have the cosmetic regulations, we have the International Fragrance Association regulations to follow. Materials can be allergenic, can be carcinogenic, mutagenic, reprotoxic, as we use them for longer period. It's like pharmaceuticals, etc. You gain knowledge as you on the go. So this is all very regulated. An interesting bit is that from a legal point of view, the juice, so what we call the juice in this industry, is not protected by copyright laws, and that's quite an issue. Visual, dramatic, and literary arts are protected. If you copy someone, you can be sued. In perfumery, not really, because how can you prove that it's a copy? Unless you produce the formula, right? So it's a little bit challenging in this industry. You need a name. The name is very important. You need a nice bottle. You need nice packaging. See, this is a niche independent brand. Very nice, by the way. I've just used as an example, but names can help you sell, or on the contrary, not sell your fragrance. Branding, storytelling, marketing. It's really a multidisciplinary business. If you run a company of commercially available fragrances. And a new trend is really social media. You can have the best perfume in the world, you can have the best bottle, if you're not reaching your targets, you're not going anywhere. And we see really a revolution with TikTok, with Instagram, etc., and influencer marketing. That's really a new development in this industry, like many other consumer products. And I like to finish with this. It only works in English, by the way. The Nose Knows. And I invite you to read this book by Avery Gilbert, What the Nose Knows, The Science of Scent in Everyday Life. It's quite interesting and funny. But what I mean here is that your nose knows, obviously, and you can trust your nose, even if you don't use them professionally. They are really your guide for many life experiences and activities. So quite a few references here. And with this, I thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you've been experiencing a few, how can I say, hands-on synthetics and how chemistry has really contributed to making this industry develop and flourish, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. We have time for just a couple of questions, because obviously we need to have a little social drink. Has anybody got a burning question?
What's the best way to choose a perfume? Because like the classic is we go into the shop, we spray on a little bit of paper, wave it about a bit. Is there a good way of choosing a?
Just trusting your nose, I would say, and your experience. Does it make you feel good? Does it bring emotions?
Would you suggest taking the piece of card home and waiting and then re-smelling it
definitely,
to see if
or
it smells
get it sprayed on your skin also, because there are interactions also between the perfume and your skin, more on your skin than on a paper strip, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but trust yourself.
Nice presentation. I was wondering, I was working in a lab a lot with a certain compound, methyl cyclohexane carboxylate, something, but even in trace amount, when there was one spill, it had a very strong scent on everything that it was in touch with. I was wondering what determines how strong a scent remains, because with other solvent, it wasn't the case like that. So yeah, is it just dependent on molecular structure, or?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of research going on to try and derive the scent profile from the structure, but that's not always working so easily. But you have ultra powerful materials that, either because it's the synthetic method, or just how they are, and that's why we need to dilute them sometimes by at 1% or 0.1% before we can actually smell them, not even use them, smell them, because it's just polluting. And for me, it's really a pollution. Your lab or your house, even if you, or your work area.
Sometimes it fell slightly on the lab coat or something, and or even diluted in ethanol, and everywhere it keeps smelling. And also sometimes in the offices, I brought it sometimes with, if it touches your hands or so.
You better wash your
I
hands, or wear gloves, or
then,
change your coat. Open the windows. It can really be very powerful, and the big industrial perfumery labs have extraction. What do you call this in English? Fumes, because it's there's an impact also on how do you call this, the workers' well-being also, but very powerful. But there's not much you can do except that getting some distance from the material itself.
What solvents do they usually use?
So ethanol, denaturated ethanol, which is, I guess, as in many other places in Europe, restricted by the Ministry of Finance, at least in Belgium. So it's controlled. You need to keep accountability, etc. Dipropylene glycol. If you work into Candles is going to be IPM as a perfumery state. You can use, depends on the application, but for skin, fine perfumery, skin perfume, it's ethanol.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any final question? Final question.
Just, on the regulatory side, I mean, are perfumes for retail sale for skin use, are they regulated as a cosmetic?
Oh, yes.
And any manufacturer or marketing company has to obtain a pre-marketing authorization?
Yes, absolutely. You need officially the involvement of a toxicologist who's going to review your formula and the various allergens contained in the various ingredients, and then you really need to submit a file at the European level. I mean, it's like medicines actually, almost like medicines.
What sense for other applications, like putting the room with a nice...
Then that would be the REACH regulations applying. It's not the cosmetic
It's not a
regulation.
pre-marketing authorization.
Yeah, and I mean, IFRA, so the International Fragrance Association, has a whole set of regulations, maximum levels that you can use depending on the application, etc. And if you're a company member of that association, then you're supposed to follow.
It's a self-regulating mechanism.
Oh yeah, it's quite regulated. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Obviously, you'll be here to talk with while we have a few
with
drinks,
pleasure.
and if anyone can actually still smell a bouquet from the wine, well done. And well, as ever, we will
Thank you
very
so much.
for your
My pleasure.
Your presentation.
Thank
Our
you.
small gift.
Oh wow.
for
I think I know.
I think you may know what they are. You are a native of that area. So thanks very much again, Magali.
Thank you, my pleasure.
We have drinks over there. Future presentations are in formulation at the moment. We may have one at the end of March, beginning April, but that needs to be confirmed. But obviously, we'll be able to tell you all about that via email, etc. So and further programs during the year. So thanks very much. Have a drink and have a discussion. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
You obviously